Pattaya, Thailand. Speed is in a plastic chair with both feet in a tank of fish, letting them eat the dead skin off his toes. It's September 10th, 2024, and the counter on his stream ticks past 612,000 people watching him live. Biggest audience he'd ever had. And this is what he says. In Thailand, though, that's the whole video. And 8 days from now, that number is going to look small. Over the next 12 months, every record Darren Watkins Jr. broke, he broke somewhere that wasn't America. And the country he actually lives in was the last one to say his name out loud. And stay with me because about halfway through this, one of these countries stops treating him like a visitor. What happened didn't come from his fans, and it didn't come from the internet. By late 2023, Speed was already big. Big the way an American streamer gets big. He'd hit his ceiling in the room he was standing in. October 30th, 2023, he streams the Ballon d'Or Gala from the red carpet in Paris and pulls over 300,000 live. That was the number for almost a year. An absurd number for one guy with a phone, and also a wall. And that same year, there's a list published in America with 25 names on it. I'll tell you later why his isn't one of them. You already know what every American creator does at that number. Bigger collabs, bigger stunts, a podcast. Speed did something none of them do. He got on a plane and kept getting on planes, and the number started moving in a direction nobody predicted. Summer 2024, Euro Tour. More than 77 hours streaming from Europe, most of it around Euro 2024. July, Poland. 309,000 concurrent. So the ceiling moved, slightly, and notice how little. Europe gave him a bump, not a break. If it ended there, this is a video about a guy who found some fans in Poland. 6 weeks later, he lands in Bangkok. Day 1 in Thailand, within the first hour of him going live, he crashes a tuk-tuk into a temple. Nobody seriously hurt. He also spars a pro Muay Thai fighter and meets a twerking elephant, which are 4 words I did not expect to say out loud. And then the fish tank. 612,000. He beats his own record by 64,000 in a single sitting, and he's confused about it on camera. 8 days later, that number stops being the record. September 18th, 2024. Indonesia. The stream peaks at over 1 million concurrent viewers. His previous best was 8 days old. Hold both of those numbers next to each other. 300,000 was his ceiling for a year. He'd spent that whole year in America trying to move it, and it hadn't moved. Now it's 1 million 8 days after the last record, and it happened on the other side of the planet from Ohio. Watch his hands. He has no idea what to do with them. He cries. Then he does a backflip in the middle of a road with a crowd around him. And this is the point where the obvious question starts nagging. Because here's what I kept circling while I was putting this together. He was setting these records in countries he doesn't live in front of people he'd never see again. So what does that actually buy him? Because 1 million is not the record. India's space agency put more than 8 million on a moon landing all at once. Hold that phrase, at once. Ibai Ya Knows pulled 3.85 million at once on Twitch. So if you want to be annoying, he came third. But Streams Charts called it, that stream made him the most popular English-speaking streamer in the world, across every platform. Not the biggest stream ever. The biggest person doing it in English. Which brings us to March 2025, and the only country on this list where none of that should have worked. Local officials introduce him to an instructor at the Shaolin Temple Wushu Training Center, Master Lang, who gives him a demo and a line that immediately goes everywhere. That clip blows up on Douyin and TikTok simultaneously. Note who set that up. Local officials did. A city training center. Nobody above that. Hold on to that. Chengdu, and this is the stretch I went back and watched twice. He gets his face painted like a panda, gets traditional acupuncture, and gets genuinely startled by Sichuan opera performers doing fire spitting and face changing. And note again, the opera, the acupuncture, the panda paint. He didn't find any of it. It was waiting for him. Still a city tourism bureau. Still nobody above that. Somewhere in here, the Chinese internet gives him a nickname. Roughly translated, it's hyperthyroid bro. A joke about the energy levels and the face he makes. A traditional medicine practitioner checks his pulse on stream and tells him, grinning, that he does not in fact have hyperthyroidism. You do not get a nickname from a country's entire internet by being a visiting foreigner who showed up once. You get one by being a recurring character. The Chengdu livestream alone draws about 8 million viewers across the day. Not 8 million at once. Same digits, different animal. Clips off it pass 10 million views on their own. 8 million. In a country where, and I need you to sit with this, YouTube is blocked. On the Great Wall, a Chinese woman films a selfie video and accidentally catches him stumbling into frame behind her. She posts it to Douyin with a caption asking who this is. He has no idea what's happening. He takes her hand and lip syncs a patriotic song, face warped by a beauty filter. He didn't make that one. She did. Remember her because she comes back at the end of this. Up to this point, everything that's happened to him in China has come from ordinary people and local officials. Then it goes up a level. March 26, 2025. The official X account of the Chinese embassy in the United States posts a compilation of his livestream clips, describing him as part of a broader trend of digital influencers bridging cultural gaps. That's a government, posting a 20-year-old from Cincinnati. As foreign policy. The next day, March 27th, his Douyin account crosses 1 million followers. He'd opened it days earlier. By the end of the trip, it's past 2 million. On the 29th, he opens a Weibo. So here's the question I want you holding for the rest of this, and I've gone back and forth on it myself. Did Speed get bigger abroad? Or did abroad get bigger about Speed? There's a version where he broke through globally, and a version where 4 countries found a very effective free advertisement and he was the last to know. Don't answer yet. I've got 2 more pieces of evidence for the second one, and the worst of the 2 is the last thing that happened to him in China. Chongqing. He rides the monorail straight through a residential building at Liziba Station, takes a 112-meter escalator, gets a haircut. That stream pulls 450,000 views in 15 hours. Then, Shenzhen, the one you've probably seen clipped. Robot dance, drone show, flying car. The stream hits nearly 253,000 concurrent, the highest of the whole China trip. And none of this is him finding stuff. Every one of these was arranged for him before he landed. 253,000. That's the China peak. Indonesia was 4 times that. On paper, a downgrade. Stream's charts says it outright. Not his best trip. Here's why that number lies. YouTube is blocked in China. The people making him a national story mostly weren't watching him on his own channel. Cultural bureaus start staging encounters to charm him. Some land, some don't. His Changsha TV appearance gets panned online as stiff and overproduced. That's where I stopped thinking of this as a tour. Countries were competing for him. Badly, sometimes. Across his Asian trips, 12.1 million hours watched, 3.5 million new followers. More than any region he'd been to. Now rewind to August 26, 2024. Rolling Stone publishes its 2024 list of the 25 most influential creators. Kai Cenat is number 1. Speed is not on it. Not lower down, not at all. Cenat goes on stream, pulls the list up live, and the thing he's annoyed about isn't his own placement, it's that his friend isn't there. And I want it to be fair to Rolling Stone here because the 2024 list wasn't stupid. In 2024, Speed was a big American streamer with a football obsession. That's a real thing to be, and it is not a thing that lands you in a Culture magazine's top 25. So that's the scoreboard going into 2025. 1 million people in Indonesia. 8 million on one stream in Chengdu. A foreign government using him as a case study. And at home, a magazine that couldn't find room for him in a top 25. 1 year to the day after they left him off, Rolling Stone publishes the next one. August 26, 2025. Same magazine, same method, same 25 slots. He's not on it lower down either. He's first. Drusky is 2. Ms. Rachel is 3. Kai Cenat, number 1 the year before, the guy who was angry on Speed's behalf, is 4. Mr. Beast is 7. And they didn't just vibe it. The ranking ran on creator IQ data, followers, engagement, audience growth, with editorial judgment on top. Growth is the one of those 3 that has to come from somewhere. Audience growth. That's the metric that moved him from absent to first in 12 months. And every single point of it was earned somewhere that wasn't home. He didn't get bigger in America. He got so big everywhere else that America had to file the paperwork. 5 months before that list came out, an instructor at a wushu school in Henan told him that pain was the point. He was the only person in that room who didn't know he'd just been handed the thesis of his own year. 2 days later, August 28, 2025. He starts a 35-day non-stop live stream tour of the United States. He called it Speed Does America. I'm not saying Rolling Stone caused that. The tour was in motion long before a magazine ranked anybody. But the sequence is the sequence. He spent a year proving himself abroad, got crowned at home on a Tuesday, and by Thursday he was streaming America back to itself the same way he'd streamed Chongqing. And if you landed on They Made Him, there's one thing in this whole year that nobody arranged. The woman on the Great Wall wasn't a tourism bureau. She was filming herself, he wandered into the shot, And that accident did 2.4 million likes, more than the backflip he'd planned. Bureaus can build a stage. They can't make a stranger's phone go off. Speed didn't go abroad to grow his American audience. He went abroad because that's where the ceiling wasn't. And the version of him that came back was something America had no category for until a magazine invented one. That's what the records bought him. Not fans in Indonesia he'd never see again. Leverage at home he could never have built at home. Next time somebody tells you the World Cup made him, tell them the million came first off a street in Indonesia. Tell me in the comments where you landed and whether the woman on the wall changed it. Did he get bigger abroad, or did abroad get bigger about him? 11 months before Rolling Stone put him first in America, he was sitting in a plastic chair in Thailand with his feet in a tank of fish, asking why so many people were watching him there. Nobody has properly answered him yet. Next one's the obsession that started all of it. In 4 days in November 2022, Speed flew to England twice to watch Cristiano Ronaldo play. Old Trafford on the 10th, Craven Cottage on the 13th. Both times Ronaldo was ill and out of the squad, and the second time he found out live in the Sky Sports studio, reading the team sheet out on camera, and went down on the floor in front of the pundits. That video's next. Hit subscribe, then go argue with someone in the comments.